Okay. Everybody in the chat room, type a number 1 and post it in there when you can hear the sound of my voice. For some reason, I am not seeing the chat room on the page itself. I don't know why. There we go. Alright, I have to go to the studio page. It's always something, isn't it? Alright. We're talking about Moon Knight Episode 3 just a few hours before Episode 4 drops, because that's the only way my schedule works. As per usual, we're going to wait just a minute or two for a few more people to find the stream. I already posted a notice on Twitter about it, because I remembered to do that this time. If you're new here, the way this works is I'll give my thoughts on the whole episode, and then we can do super chats and comments at the end. So if you've got any super chats, get them in now. I'll get to everybody. And then we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about afterward. And also, once we finish here, this stream will be set to private and then move to the live streaming channel. Link for that is in the description box. So if you want to listen to the stream afterward, you can do it on the live streaming channel. Yeah, I noticed someone in the chat room saying Ezra Miller got arrested again. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Good God, he could not have screwed over Fantastic Beasts any worse. They gotta get that guy for some professional help, like lock him in a padded room or something. Because that dude's gonna end up dead before too long if he keeps this up. Imagine the Flash producers are kicking themselves now. I mean, they had every opportunity, for years, they had every opportunity to cut the cord on him before something happened. But no, like, no, this is our Flash. We're sticking with him. It's been almost a decade. They cast him almost a decade ago. They made the announcement that they cast him as the Flash, like right around the time that the Flash TV series on the CW debuted. He's been the Flash this entire time, only appeared in the frickin' Justice League movie. But they know, no, that Flash movie is going to happen, and when it does, Ezra Miller is our Flash. They had years to find somebody else. Years to recast. Even when it was obvious this guy was a fucking nutcase. Now, the movie is in the can. This other big Warner Brothers movie is in theaters right now, and he's getting arrested right and left. Oh my God. They got so many I told you so's coming to them. Good God. Alright, okay. Yeah, Moon Knight Episode 3. So, yeah, I'll give my thoughts on the episode, then we can talk about your guys' thoughts. Get your super chats in now, and while you're here, hit that like button. And I can't see that, so I'm going to move this over here. Alright. Alright, so Moon Knight Episode 3. We begin with Layla. She's with some woman, not really sure what their relationship is. The woman appears to be an old friend of her father. She's having a fake passport made while unloading about all the stuff that's going on with Mark. She doesn't know what happened, but she's going back to Cairo now after 10 years, and it might be dangerous because she has some enemies over there because of things that she allegedly stole. But no, Layla claims that she doesn't steal. She just takes things off the black market and returns them to their rightful place, their rightful owners. And she might keep a few to pay the bills because, otherwise how are those bills getting paid? And so she has that fake passport made, and off she goes. We don't know who this woman is. Might not be important. But we cut to the desert, where Arthur Harrow is using that floating scarab thing to track down Amit's tomb. And there's this big rock face, or a cliff, or a mountain, or something. This scarab points downward at the base of this thing, so I guess they found it. Arthur orders everyone to start digging. And then one of his people comes up, tells him Mark Spector is in Cairo. So we cut to the Cairo rooftops. Mark is racing over these rooftops, chasing someone down. Finally lands on a roof where this person he was chasing has just been murdered by 3 thugs. Mark really needed to talk to this guy, but now he'll have to talk to the thugs instead. So they fight. Mark takes them out like a badass, and he's about to kill one of them with his own knife, but then Steven appears in the reflection of the knife telling him not to do it. So Mark blacks out, and he wakes up in a cab headed for the airport. So it's the reverse of what happened to Steven in episode 1. Excuse me. Now Mark is blacking out, not knowing what happened, waking up somewhere else. But this doesn't really track because previously Mark was aware when he wasn't in control of the body, but now he's not. So why is that? Also, how did Steven get out of that situation? Because the thugs weren't defeated yet, I don't think. So how did Steven escape? Like stuff like this is what makes me think there's a third personality that we don't know about yet, and maybe that personality took over, because I don't see Steven being able to handle himself in that situation. That would not make sense. So Mark sees the 2 thugs on the side of the street. Well, 2 of them, not all of them. So he jumps out of the cab, goes to talk to these guys. They claim that he just let them go. Not sure why they wouldn't want to keep fighting. Again, there's some things about this that aren't adding up right now, but that's what they're going with. He just let them go. So he chases these guys down again through the streets of Cairo this time. He's jumping off of trucks and cutting through alleyways and stuff. Finally catches up to one of them, roughs the guy up a little bit, wanting to know where Arthur is. Then Steven appears in like the mirror reflection. There's always a mirror or a reflective surface around when they have to do this. So Steven appears again, telling him, "That's enough, Mark. That's enough." So another thug jumps Mark from behind, knocks him to the ground. Mark blacks out again. When he awakens again, he's on some big cliff outside the city, and he's just slit this thug's throat. And he's killed a bunch of others too. And he doesn't know how it happened. Steven says it wasn't him. So there pretty much has to be a third persona. That's the only way to explain this. Unless Khonshu is somehow assuming control of the body, which apparently he does have the ability to do, which we see a little bit later. So I guess it could be Khonshu, could be another persona. I'm leaning toward a third persona. So there's one thug left alive. Khonshu says to take him over to the ledge and hang him off. That'll make him talk. So Mark does it, hangs this kid off the ledge by his scarf, asks him, "Where's Arthur Harrow? Where is he?" Then the kid says, "Praise Amet." He pulls out a knife, cuts the scarf, falls to his death committing suicide. It's a really funny bit there. Khonshu's like, I really thought he'd talk. So they're starting to play with the idea that Khonshu is kind of a fuck-up. No wonder the other gods banished him. This guy is not the all-wise, all-powerful, all-knowing god. No, he doesn't really understand people very well. Anyway, Mark and Steven are both blaming each other for this, but they both claim that they didn't kill these thugs. So a third persona is the only explanation, really. I mean, but you'd think Mark at least would know if there was another one, because he was aware of Steven, so why wouldn't he be aware of a third one? You know, maybe the third one only came into being recently, but if so, how long has that been there? I mean, was Steven blacking out to the third persona in episode 1? I mean, this one appears to be like extra ruthless and brutal, even more so than Mark. So maybe he's the one who took out Arthur's followers in the town square in that scene? Again, there's a lot we don't know yet. So their lead is a bust. So they're going to have to find Arthur some other way. But Mark doesn't have any ideas, so he suggests asking the other gods for help. Khonshu doesn't like this idea, because asking for an audience with the other gods is risking their wrath, and if the other gods get pissed off, they could imprison Khonshu in stone, in which case Mark would lose his powers, and they'd all be fucked. Instead, Khonshu has a really bad idea. I gotta say, I don't like Khonshu appearing in broad daylight like this. Because it's another one of those cases where, they're CGing the whole body and he's just standing around talking to Mark rather than being a disembodied voice that no one can see. The CG on him is pretty good, but it's not so good that you can't tell it's CG. It was better when we only saw him at night or saw him like obscured in the dark or something. Khonshu feels much less mysterious when we're seeing him in the daylight. Like the mystique just evaporates, and he kind of feels like a lot more mundane all of a sudden. So I wish they wouldn't do this. Or if he's gonna be if we have to see him in the daylight, at least find a different way to present him. Like I couldn't stand What If, but one of the things I did like is that they usually found creative ways of presenting the Watcher, like where he was like slightly obscured, or he was like the color of the universe or something. If they could find a way to do something like that with Khonshu, at least in the daylight scenes, I think that would work better. Something about him just standing there in the daylight, it doesn't feel right. It's okay, like where it's dark and the moon is out and stuff, but right now, I don't know. I don't like it. Anyway, Khonshu's really bad idea is to cause a total solar eclipse. And this is to signal the Ennead that they need to meet, and he says the gods are gathering their avatars for the meeting now. So he said that they shouldn't ask the other gods for help, which would be because that would be risking their wrath, right? But then he causes a solar eclipse to gather the other gods to ask for their help. Like what? This is just what he said that they shouldn't do. But now he's doing it. Wouldn't just asking them be better? He just did something that was almost certainly going to piss them off. Couldn't Mark just call one of the other avatars on the phone and say, hey, we need to get together and talk about something? Well, you'd think they'd have a way of contacting each other for just such an occasion, right? But no, Khonshu takes the most drastic action you could possibly imagine just to get these guys all together. But that's certainly going to piss them off. So it doesn't make sense. Also, Khonshu just caused a complete solar eclipse. He is massively changing the position of the sun and the moon. Isn't doing this going to cause, like, massive ecological disasters, like tidal waves and stuff because of, like, gravity and whatnot? Like, how are we just glossing over this? This is an insane thing that he just did, and it's like, it's just one of those things. Oh yeah, he can cause an eclipse. Yeah, but in order to do that, you had to take the moon that was on the other side of the planet, and we had to move it over here, and like, what? You do know that, that's bound to cause, like, massive... Oh, God. Don't get me started. He does a bigger version of this later on. It's even more insane. I'll get to it. So, after Khonshu teleports the moon to the other side of the planet so it can cover up the sun, a doorway opens up for Mark. And Khonshu says the last time he spoke with the gods, they banished him. So their case against Arthur Harrow needs to be really damn good. Or he might get banished again. Of course, for my money, they might banish him on general principles because he just teleported the moon to the other side of the fucking planet. Anywho, Mark walks through the doorway, through a tunnel, and he enters the Pyramid of Giza. Steven is just geeking out at this because holy shit, we're in the Temple of Giza. And the inside of the temple looks really good. I mean, there's lots of statues and idols of the other gods all over the place. It's a really nice set. So another avatar walks in, Yatzil. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She's the avatar of Hathor, goddess of music and love. Can only imagine what her super suit looks like. Apparently Yatzil and Khonshu were friends or something, or Khonshu really liked, or Hathor rather. Like Khonshu really enjoyed Hathor's music or something like that. So there's a little bit of a connection between them. And then the other avatars arrive, and I guess the way this works is that the gods kind of assume control of the avatars like puppets and speak through them and act through them. So all the avatars are standing around Mark. Horus, Isis, Tefnut, Osiris, and Hathor. Were Ra, Set, and Anubis not invited? I don't know. I mean, there's got to be more gods than this. Anyway, the other gods are very irritated and tell Khonshu not to manipulate the sky again or he'll be imprisoned. Yeah, he gets a stern talking to for teleporting the moon to the other side of the planet to block out the sun. Okay. Yeah, stern talking to, that'll show him. Khonshu's not amused, says he was banished for not abandoning humanity like the rest of them. The gods say humanity abandoned them, and they just trust their avatars to carry out their purpose without calling attention to themselves. The gods say that the avatars should only be there to observe and shouldn't meddle in the affairs of man. Khonshu disagrees, and calls for judgment against Arthur Harrow for conspiring to release Ammit. So, they summon Arthur, he walks in. So Khonshu and Arthur go back and forth. You're trying to release Ammit. No, you're trying to release Ammit. You're lying. No, you're lying. Also, your avatar is mentally ill and you gods should probably not trust anything this guy says. And so Arthur cites all these things proving his point. Mark has a marriage certificate as Mark Spector, employment records as Stephen Grant. He talks to himself, threatens himself. All things that are true, by the way. This guy is fucking nuts. And he cites all the evidence that proves it. So Mark gets pissed off, tries to attack Arthur. The other gods stop him since violence is not allowed in this chamber. Arthur says this is a deeply troubled man, and Khonshu is exploiting him, taking advantage of him the same way he abused Arthur, and the same way he aspires to abuse this court. He urges them to take action against Khonshu right now. The other gods want to talk to Mark. They ask him if he's unwell. Mark admits that he is unwell, but this isn't about if he feels exploited by Khonshu. It isn't about his feelings because he's not the one on trial here. But the gods decide that Arthur has committed no offense, and just like that, the matter is concluded, and they all take off. It feels like there was a lot missing here. Like, why didn't Mark tell them about the scarab, or how Arthur killed people, or about any of the stuff that happened in the first 2 episodes? I mean, he could tell them about so many things that Arthur's done that would prove Arthur's guilt, but he just doesn't. Like, why? Dude, tell them about all the stuff he did. What's stopping you? I mean, you say this guy is on trial, but you know all the things he did, all the evil stuff he's conspiring to do, but you don't say any of it, so the other gods know what Arthur's up to. Like, why won't he tell them this? Oh, my God. I mean, cool scene otherwise, but I mean, there was a lot of stuff missing here. Also, apparently the gods can take full control of these bodies. So, I mean, there were several scenes in the first 2 episodes where Khonshu could have done that, which would have proven useful, but he chose not to. I mean, is it only in the Pyramid of Giza that they can do this, that they have this ability? Otherwise, I'm thinking, like, well, why didn't Khonshu take control during this scene or that scene? Because they kind of needed they kind of needed Moon Knight to show up and do stuff there. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and assume that they can only do this inside the pyramid. Otherwise, there's a lot of holes. Anyway, we cut to Cairo. No, wait, no, sorry, excuse me. I skipped over something. So the avatars all leave, but Yatsil stays behind. She takes Mark aside, tells him that a man named Senfu was tasked with recording the location of Amit's tomb in case the gods ever changed their minds about her and decided to show mercy. So, if Mark can find Senfu's sarcophagus, because Senfu has been dead for quite some time now, if he can find the sarcophagus, he'll find Amit's tomb, or at least a path to Amit's tomb. But that sarcophagus was stolen on the black market, so he'll need to track it down. Cut to Cairo. Mark asks some guy on the street about the sarcophagus, but this guy won't speak with him. So Layla shows up, points out that, you're saying the right stuff, but you're not Egyptian, so these people aren't going to trust you. You need an Egyptian. So he's worried about her. He thinks she shouldn't be here because some people won't like that she's back in Cairo, but Layla's going to help him find what he needs regardless, because, danger is her middle name, I guess. So that night, they're on a boat, going somewhere. Layla's she's upset that Mark left for Cairo without telling her. He left very suddenly, didn't tell her where she was going, but she figured it out. And she's not helping for him. She's helping because this is really important, and a lot of people are going to die if Arthur Harrow pulls off whatever he's planning. And Mark does apologize, but nothing's really been resolved here. The other boat passengers are having a party or something, playing music and dancing. Mark hasn't heard that song since their wedding, and they start reminiscing a little bit, and it becomes a little bit quieter, a little bit more of an intimate conversation, and Layla says that he could have told her what it's been like for him. He could have told her about Steven and his mental illness. Mark claims that he had it under control until very recently, but won't say what happened to make him lose control. But it's clear that something definitely happened that messed him up really badly, and for the first time, Mark Spector looks like genuinely vulnerable here. She's like, we could have handled it together. I've never been one to talk about things really. It's a little bit too late for that now, so on and so forth. So, she's trying to get him to open up and explain to her what really happened, but he's evolved. Something really bad happened. We don't know yet. We don't know what exactly. I've got some theories though. So they're meeting with a guy named Mogart, who deals in stolen antiquities, and he's on, I don't know, there's an island or something. Mark notices they're being watched by people in another boat, so it's probably Arthur's people keeping tabs on them. Not sure entirely what's going on in this scene, because people are riding around on horses and fighting with spears and stuff, like something you'd see at a Renaissance fair or something. Layla says that the Mogart guy gets private lessons on this stuff in his backyard. So he just really likes, jousting? It kind of looks like they're jousting, like medieval knights or something. I'm not sure what this is. I guess they just wanted to get really creative with the set piece and the action sequence that's going to happen in a few minutes, but why? I mean, horses jousting with spears? Is this something they do in Egypt? I have no idea. Very strange. So they meet with this Mogart guy. I guess he knows Layla from something. They had some kind of business deal. Steven, I guess, is pretending to be her husband, Rufino, but he actually is her husband, so they just changed his name. Otherwise, he's just playing himself. The Mogart sees preserving history as his responsibility. That's how he justifies what he does, I guess. He calls it philanthropy. But he still enjoys the fruits of his labor, still enjoys all the money he makes from it, so there's that. He asks Mark why the interest in Senfu in particular. What's so special about Senfu? But Mark didn't really have a cover story worked out, so he really has nothing convincing to say. He says he just wants to take a look. So Mark kind of bungled that one. Layla urges Mark to let Steven out and let him handle this before Mark blows the whole thing. Because Steven is a total geek for the Egypt stuff, so he'd actually be more useful in this situation, but Mark refuses. So they find the sarcophagus. There's writing on it, and Layla can tell it's legit, but there's stuff, it's all stuff about, like, guiding the dead, and nothing about the actual location of the tomb. Steven, again, because there's reflective surfaces everywhere, Steven tells Mark that's because the information they need is coded and it has to be unlocked somehow. And that's not really the forte for either of them. So Mark asks Layla to give him a minute while he talks to Steven. She goes to keep Mogart occupied, and Steven wants the body back. Mark refuses again, thinking Steven would just get them killed. And he's not far off. They argue back and forth for a minute, but Mark gets his way for now. So Steven tries to coach Mark through this process of decoding this thing using this, not really clear what it is. It's like a cipher of some kind. There's like the sarcophagus is opened, and inside there's a mummy, and there's these pieces of, I don't know, material, papyrus, whatever. There's some stuff drawn on there. Can't really see what it is, but it has to be like folded up a certain way and put together a certain way, and they don't know how to do that, but Steven knows how to do it. So he tries to figure it out. But pretty quickly, the Mogart's guys see what he's doing. So the jig is up. So he comes at Mark. Mark takes the gun, but they've already got guns on Layla, so they're kind of fucked here. Because Mogart never really trusted them in the first place. And he had them made from the start, pretty much. And I guess Layla made enemies with this guy at some point in the past, and she thought she'd smooth that over, but apparently not. So, at this point, Arthur shows up. He tells Mogart, why settle for the clues in the sarcophagus when he can have the treasure in Amit's tomb? And Layla urges Mogart not to trust this guy because he wants to kill millions of people, but, of course, he's not listening at this point. And Arthur, he tells everybody that they shouldn't descend into violent accusations, not when they have so many things in common. Because Layla thinks that distance will help keep the wounds from her father's murder from reopening. But something's standing in the way of that. Her husband's not telling her the truth about something, and Mark doesn't tell her because if he does, then she'll see him as he sees himself, someone who is unworthy of love. And Arthur kind of shows off the glowing cane to Mogart. He's offering up proof that the lore surrounding the sarcophagus is real. It's hinted that maybe he's using Amit's power to subtly enthrall Mogart somehow, but Mogart's really drinking the Kool-Aid. He's really just listening to everything Arthur says. He's just fascinated by it. He's just really getting sucked in very quickly. So Khonshu is telling Mark to summon the suit. And summon the suit, call down the Moon Knight, give these assholes what they deserve, but Mark is refusing to do it for some reason. Now, maybe that's because he knows something is not right. He knows there's something messed up in his brain because of what happened with the thugs earlier, and maybe he's afraid of what might happen if he goes all Moon Knight on these guys. You have to infer this because it's not explained. That's how I read this situation. But Mark is cottoning on that there's something worse than usual happening in his mind right now, I think. Meanwhile, Arthur started chanting in some other language, Arabic or something. The cane glows, and the sarcophagus is engulfed in, like, purple CG fire, and it disappears or gets destroyed or something. And that's all Arthur needed to get done here, so he just walks off. So finally, Mark's had enough. He summons the suit. He starts taking bitches out. The thugs are opening fire on them. Mark shields Layla from the bullets, and that's that scene from the trailer where the cape unfurls in the shape of a moon. Really cool shot there. He protects her. She tells him to buy her some time, so he fights the thugs off while she takes another look at what's left of the sarcophagus, and the pages of the cipher are still in there somehow. They didn't get destroyed. So she's trying to gather these things up. She gets confronted by one of the the thugs, the main guy, and she has to fight him. And I like this fight a lot because it feels like a fairly realistic depiction of a woman fighting a much bigger, stronger man. Layla's very scrappy, she's faster than he is, but he's a lot stronger. He's clearly overpowering her, throwing her around. She realizes pretty quickly that she can't beat him with brute force, so after she takes a little punishment, she wises up, she takes off the necklace thing that she's been wearing, and it kind of collapses into these two stylized curved knife things. So she runs at him, stabs him in the chest with these things. So she beats this guy, but she has to work for it. She doesn't just walk all over him. She has to use her ingenuity. I like that. Meanwhile, Moon Knight is fighting a dozen other thugs. He's just whooping their asses, but Steven keeps telling him to stop and give him the body. I don't know why. I get that the writers need to create conflict, but I don't know what Steven thinks he's going to do here. And sure enough, Steven finally forces himself back into the body, and he goes to the Mr. Knight suit, and he tries to call for a timeout. Literally. Literally, he makes the T sign with his hands. He's like, time out, everybody. Just everybody calm down. Let's stop fighting. Let's stop with the violence. Now, why he thought that would work, I don't know. And I thought Steven was smarter than this. So yeah, they don't stop with the violence. Instead, they start throwing spears. And Steven takes a few spears in the chest for his trouble, and he tells Mark, Mark, take the body back, I don't know what I'm doing here. So now Layla's joined the fight. She starts shooting at various people. She takes out a few more thugs, but she gets knocked down from behind by Mogart on a horse. So Layla's down. Mogart circles back around. Mark kills the three guys with the spears. He rips the spears out of his body. They both charge toward Layla at the same time. Mark gets her out of the way just in the nick of time, and then he shoots one of those moon-shaped knives at Mogart, takes him out. Cool fight. But the stuff with Steven did not make sense. That felt unnecessary. I know the point is that there's chaos in Mark's mind, but if you have to make Steven look like an idiot to create more drama, that's not good writing. So I wish they hadn't done that, because frankly, it didn't make sense. What did Steven think he was going to do? Oh yeah, let's call a timeout. That'll make him stop shooting spears at me. It was very strange. Excuse me. All right, so afterward, they get in a car. They drive out into the desert, and Layla asks what Arthur was talking about back there. He's like, he said I had a right to know, but what did he mean? I never told anybody why I moved. How did he know all that stuff about me? And Mark tries to avoid talking about this. He says that, Arthur thinks he can see people's true nature, but he's also got homicidal maniacs working for him, so he's just full of crap, and you shouldn't believe anything he says, because what he said is obviously not true. But Layla's not really buying this. And, she's pretty sure that there's something else Mark isn't telling her, and every time she thinks there's no more secrets between them, something new pops up, and it's like she never knew him at all. And Mark just says that she doesn't. And neither of them are happy about that. So, I could be wrong, but I think it's pretty clear what happened. I think there is a third persona that neither Mark nor Steven know about yet, and I think that third persona, who we have not yet met, is who killed Layla's father. And Mark suspects this. He suspects it, but maybe he hasn't put all the pieces together yet, and he thinks he's protecting Layla by being like this. Of course, not telling her is also hurting her, but in Mark's defense, I don't know how the hell he could just tell her about this. Like, how do you tell your wife that your other personality might have killed her father? I mean, just think of the marriage counseling bills these two would rack up. Good God. Excuse me. So, they're out in the desert. We see one of Arthur's people still watching them as they do this. But so they think they're all alone right now. They're trying to work out the cipher, but neither of them can figure this thing out. Layla says, "Look, this isn't happening. We need Steven. He understands all this stuff." Mark still doesn't want to let Steven out, so you got Khonshu saying that Steven won't give the body back if you give it up. Layla's saying, "We need Steven. He's our best shot." Mark gets so frustrated that he pulls the rearview mirror off the car. Finally, he gives up and lets Steven back in. So Steven just calmly takes all the pieces of the cipher, folds them up in a certain way, tapes them together, and it reveals a constellation or star chart or something, because the ancient Egyptians would use the sun and the stars to navigate the desert. And he's just explaining this like it's cool, because apparently he's very knowledgeable about such things. And as he's explaining this, Layla's given him this look like, this Steven persona is more interesting than I first thought. I kind of like this guy. He's all right. So, now they've got the chart. But since, what's his name marked these things a couple millennia ago, and since stars drift over time, so they're not going to get an accurate position from this thing. So what they really need to know is what the sky looked like on that date 2,000 years in the past when the guy first made this chart. Because if they have that, if they get like an accurate reading from that, then they can figure out the position of Ahmed's tomb. So Khonshu is like, well, sky shit? Boom, that's my jam. I can help you guys out with this, but I can't do it alone, and the other gods are gonna fuck me over for it, so tell Mark to free me when he gets the body back. So, and this is the really cracked out scene, they climb up to the top of a hill. Steven summons the Mr. Nightsuit. They both raise their arms, and I'm not even sure how to describe this. It's like Steven and Khonshu grab a hold of the sky and spin it like the Wheel of Fortune wheel. Like the lights in the sky keep changing, and the stars are spinning around as they keep cycling back through all these different lunar cycles that took place over thousands of years. It's an incredible visual. I have no idea how they even conceptualized this, but again, this seems like the kind of thing that would and should cause massive ecological damage somehow. I mean, you're radically altering the position of celestial bodies and planets and quasars and black holes and God knows what else. It seems to me something like this would throw the entire universe into absolute fucking chaos. Now, is that what's happening, or is Khonshu just maybe altering people's perception of the sky somehow? I don't know, but I have so many questions about this. Unfortunately, the episode's almost over, so there isn't time to ask any of those questions. Looks really cool, though. So anyway, Steven and Khonshu are straining to maintain whatever the hell it is they're doing. Layla finally gets the correct position of the stars, triangulates the position of Amit's tomb. Meanwhile, the other gods are in the Giza pyramid carving out this little stone idol of Khonshu to imprison him. So they finish carving it, Khonshu disappears, the Mr. Night suit vanishes, and Steven passes out. So now they have no access to Khonshu and no access to the Moon Knight suit. But they know the position of Amit's tomb. And then we see Arthur leading one of the avatars through the pyramid, where the avatar is saying that, well, Arthur, I guess you were right about Khonshu. I mean, he left us no choice, really. So now Khonshu is tethered to this place, but they think he can still hear them from inside his stone prison. So Arthur speaks to the Khonshu, or the stone idol of Khonshu, saying, he actually enjoyed doling out pain on Khonshu's behalf, and that's the greatest sin that he carries with him. But he's grateful because if Khonshu hadn't broken him so thoroughly, he wouldn't know the value of healing. So Arthur's going to do what Khonshu couldn't, and because Khonshu's torment forged Arthur, Arthur owes his victory to him. This was both the most interesting episode so far and the most flawed. There were some really fascinating concepts and ideas here, but they were just very glossed over and not explored thoroughly. Like the whole thing with Khonshu manipulating the sky and changing the position of the moon and the stars and stuff, it's an amazingly cool visual, but then you start picking it apart and you start thinking about it, and the ramifications of doing this to the environment and to the universe should be absolutely staggering. And we just don't see any of that. Sure, Khonshu gets imprisoned for it, but shouldn't the entire universe be completely fucked up now? Like, Khonshu just bent gravity over the table and fucked it without lube. Like, maybe because he's a god, he can grease the wheels and do it safely? Somehow? I don't know. But that seems like a bull in a china shop situation. I mean, I really need more information about this. But I'm really liking these hints of the third persona. I very much think that's who killed Layla's father, and probably a lot of other people. And I think it would be a really crazy twist if the third persona turned out to be the final big bad of the season. Like, say, if after Arthur and Amit are defeated, maybe the final battle against the biggest threat will take place in Mark's own mind. Like, wouldn't that be something? Like, it'd be Mark and Steven versus persona number 3. Jake Lockley, maybe? I don't know. I do think they need to kind of iron out what they're doing with the DID stuff, though. They need to set some rules for how that works. Because it seems like they're playing fast and loose with it right now. Like, sometimes the other persona is aware when they're not in control, and sometimes they're not. They just black out and wake up somewhere else, no idea what happened. Like, sometimes they can retake control of the body, and sometimes they can't. Is it only in times of extreme stress that they can do this, or when the need is really great? I don't know. Like, right now it seems to be however the story needs it to work is the way it works. Unless there's something we don't know yet. So if we need to learn something else here, then let's learn that. Otherwise, it feels like they're playing the DID card anytime they need to throw a monkey wrench into a certain scene. Like the big fight with those thugs. Like, Mark is kicking ass, but then Steven takes the body back for some reason, just so the thugs can take the advantage in the fight again. But what did Steven think he was going to do there? Like, that's what the story needed to happen, but it didn't make sense for the character, so it just felt weird. And hey, when they put Arthur on trial, there's all these things that Khonshu could have said to prove Arthur is guilty, but he doesn't. Why didn't he just say A, B, and C? Well, because then Arthur might have been found guilty and the good guys would win. And maybe this is because Khonshu feels all this resentment toward the other gods and they don't like him either. So there's all this tension and anger and no one's thinking clearly and Khonshu just can't really do what he has to do because he's so angry at these other gods. But if that's the case, then they didn't get that across very well. Like, not convincingly enough to make me think Khonshu couldn't just tell them about the damn scarab, you know? But I like the stuff with Mark and Layla and Steven and Layla. I like that Steven is proving himself useful in certain situations when they need to figure stuff out. I like that Layla is kind of taking a shine to Steven. You know, there's stuff about Steven that she appreciates. So the possibility that the third persona may have murdered Layla's dad, and that's the reason why their relationship is so messed up, that's really interesting. So it's kind of cool. Like, there's stuff about Mark she likes, there's stuff about Steven she likes, and then there's maybe this third persona that's all the stuff about this man that she hates. And, you know, they should all be all wrapped up in one person, but instead they're wrapped up in three. It's, you know, that's fun. So I'm still digging the story. I'm still really liking, like, the concepts they're using. I just want the stuff to be fleshed out and explained more. And also, Khonshu moved the sky. I feel like there should be more ramifications for that than him just getting locked up in a stone prison. Let me have this one. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Jake Lockley. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think in the comics he's like some street smart cabbie. So this would be a big departure. And maybe Jake is like some murderous psychopath. Or some like amoral killer, I guess. Plus, I mean, they've been hinting that there was a third persona since like the first episode. Like, who asked out that girl at the museum? It wasn't Steven. It wasn't Mark. Had to be someone else. Did you notice the young thug had a jacket with Kang the Conqueror on the back? I did not notice that. Oh, good eyes. I'll have to go back and check that out now. Just cancel the Flash movie. Well, they can't cancel the Flash movie because they've already filmed it. If they were to cancel it, that's a net loss of many, many millions of dollars. Although, they are in a really tough spot now because the whole thing is filmed. And now, you know, Ezra Miller is being Ezra Miller, so what the hell do you do? And you can't just put the whole movie on the shelf forever. And they can't like minimize his role because he's the main character. He's playing several different characters in that movie. I mean, the movie is the Ezra Miller show. So what the hell do you do? I mean, they're really in between a rock and a hard place. They don't have a single good option. Like, the best one they can do is maybe shoot a new ending where, because of all the Flashpoint stuff, you know, Flash now wakes up in a brand new body. Like, You know, you've got a new Batman with Michael Keaton. Maybe you've got a new Flash too with Lucas Till or whoever the hell else is playing him now. Because they can't continue on with Ezra Miller. That's obvious. But I mean, they have very few options, and I don't think anything is going to save the movie at this point. Because he was banished, he can't call the other gods, so he does the stupid crap to piss them off. That seems very counterproductive, though. I mean, one would think that the avatars would need to communicate with each other through some kind of means, but the only way Khonshu can do it is if he does something that would make them even more pissed off than they were with him already? It seems like a very ineffective method of communication. Regular eclipses don't cause any damages. Well, sure, but this was not a regular eclipse. I mean, the dude teleported the moon from one side of the planet to the other. I mean, that's going to fuck up something. It has to. He does put the sky back to normal when he's done messing with it every time, sure. But I mean, you that doesn't mean he didn't move the sky in the first place, you know? Am I the only one who thinks this is really weird? Just because you put all the pieces back together, it doesn't mean you didn't set a bomb off in there, you know? Mark actually had evidence he was releasing Amit. Dude literally had the staff and the scarab. I know, it was like... He couldn't say, dude, Arthur literally has the scarab in his pocket. Just check the guy's pockets. He probably has it on him right now. The man's been carrying around Amit's staff this whole time. Like... I mean, I like the whole concept of the gods putting him on trial and, like, speaking through their avatars and something, but this scene really didn't make sense. Like, there's so many things that Mark and Khonshu could be saying and doing to prove Arthur's guilt, and they just don't do it. It's like, why not? I don't get it. Not to mention there's an entire town full of witnesses that can prove Arthur's guilty. Well, those people were mostly followers of Arthur, actually, but I get what you're saying. Emmanuel Reed, thank you for the super chat. They're doing too much. The same effect could have been done by casting an illusion and not moving the stars. Well, if he cast an illusion, that probably wouldn't have gotten him locked up in that stone prison. That's the problem. Because for the story, they needed to take Khonshu off the board temporarily, and the way that happens is if he does something that pisses the gods off. But you're right, I don't know why he couldn't just cast an illusion. Again, a lot of this stuff didn't make sense. Oh, let's Steven. It's almost like you can hear the pain in Thorias' voice. No, that's just allergies. Yeah, that's how my voice sounds pretty much all the time. I can kind of disguise it when I shoot videos, because I can just stop whenever I need to. So the way that works is I'll record for like a half hour, and then I'll take a break to rest my voice and drink some water, and then I'll record for another half hour or so, and then I'll stop again. Because if I talk much more than that. I mean, it just sounds like garbage. There's a fourth and fifth Persona 2. The fourth is superior. That's in the comics, right? Alright, well, I guess we're on our way. I didn't know there were that many in the comics. I thought there was like 3 of them. Huh. Okay, well, let's deal with number 3 first, then we can focus on 4 and 5. Did the third one kill her father, or was it that he was involved and someone else did it on his behalf? Well, we don't know yet. My guess is that the third persona just killed him. Because Mark definitely feels really guilty about something. Now, whether he's aware that the third persona killed her father, or if he just suspects that something happened there, I don't know. Like maybe Mark blacked out and then he woke up and there's her father's dead body. That might be a thing. Like he feels like he was involved somehow. He just doesn't. Maybe he doesn't know it yet. But I think that's where they're going. On their phones to see what the sky would have looked like, but no, they would have to spin the whole sky backwards. Would they have an app that could tell you what the sky looked like 2,000 years ago? I mean, the app might be able to approximate that, but they needed like an actual, like an exact like picture of it. So I'm not sure that would be as accurate as you could get. Stop using logic. This is Marvel you're talking about. It could be worse. It could be DC. He's a god, so it's probably magic. Yeah, I guess. I guess they just play the Egyptian god card as to why this doesn't completely fuck up the universe when he moves the sky. But if it doesn't fuck up shit on a massive scale, then what made the other gods so pissed off? Like, doing this has to have, like, consequences. Otherwise, I mean, if there's no consequences, then why are they imprisoning him? So something, I don't know, maybe this is something the writers just didn't think of. It's like, I feel like there have to be ramifications to him moving the sky. Because if there aren't, then him being imprisoned doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? Do you think WB should take a loss and reboot The Flash with a new actor since Ezra Miller is a PR disaster? Yeah, possibly. But I mean, it would cost so much to reshoot the movie, then they'd be eating a loss regardless. I mean, I can't see them possibly making a profit on that if they go that way. But I mean, they're not gonna make a profit on it anyway at this point. So they really have no good options here. I mean, pretty much the only thing they can do, as I see it, is just shoot a new ending, recast the Flash, so the new actor shows up at the end, and then just make that actor their Flash going forward. Because either way, they're going to get screwed over on the Flash movie. That movie is doomed. So, excuse me. So, I mean, it's going to be a PR disaster either way, but I mean, maybe they can mitigate it somewhat so they can still have, so there's still a financial future in the Flash movie series. But the first one is fucked, but maybe they could do another one with a new actor and that one could work out. A whole bunch of new comments here. It's interesting that Mark created Steven in part to be better for her, like the poetry and stuff, and it's working. Yeah, kind of. We don't know how long Steven's been a thing, but maybe Steven is the better person that Mark isn't able to be, and that's what kind of attracts Layla to him. And maybe persona number 3 is the worst part. Yeah. Do you want anyone from the other MCU shows, movies to make an appearance on Moon Knight like Bruce Banner, or do you like it being its own thing? I don't think it's necessary that they get any cameos. This really feels like its own thing. I mean, if they were to have like Nick Fury or something show up, it would just feel out of place. I don't think that's necessary. I think you're taking the sky thing too literally. He's probably just changing how the sky looks, like shifting through screensavers on your phone. Yeah, I guess, but if that's all he's doing, why are the other gods taking such drastic measures to stop him? I mean, if he's just changing how it looks, it doesn't seem like it would be that big a deal, and yet it is. So either I'm missing something, or the writers are missing something. Thoughts on the upcoming She-Hulk series? Have you ever read the comics? I have not read the comics. I've seen some reviews of the comics. Thoughts on the upcoming She-Hulk series? I'm interested in She-Hulk, but I'm also very concerned because of one of the writers, Dana Schwartz. We've all talked about her before. This sounds like it's going to be like something very new. Like, I don't know if they're going to continue on with that breaking of the fourth wall thing that She-Hulk would do in her comics sometimes. Is it going to be like a legal show? Like, is it going to be like her being a lawyer and doing like slice of life type stuff? Is she going to be like trying cases as She-Hulk? Is she going to be going on adventures and stuff? Like, is it going to be like a hybrid? Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of questions, a lot of different ways it could go. I'm interested to see what they do. I'm just afraid that it's going to be a kind of a political shitstorm. Let's see. Grant Gustin for the Flash movie? No. No, go with someone new. And Grant Gustin is the TV Flash, and the TV Flash is terrible. Not through any fault of Grant Gustin's, I guess, but that show is crap. There's too much baggage associated with Grant Gustin. I just go with someone brand new. And a lot of people talking about the gods in here. There are 5 personas, including Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. Okay. Well, here, Moon Knight and Mr. Knight are not separate personas, so maybe... I don't know, maybe they're going to come up with some new personas? Maybe there will still be 5, but, 4 and 5 will be brand new. I really enjoyed your Sonic 2 review. Thank you. Based on what it showed in the trailers, does it bother you that Robotnik didn't have the weight for his character? Bother me that he wasn't overweight? Nah, not really. I mean, Jim Carrey was just doing such great work with the character. Man, it didn't bother me. He's already got the look. He's got the mustache and everything. I'm not gonna pitch a fit that Robotnik isn't shaped like a tennis ball. I mean, I'm really not. It's such a minor thing. And compared to all the other stuff Jim Carrey is doing with the character, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Will you do the Batwoman review format for the She-Hulk show? Well, one thing at a time. Let's get a trailer first and see how that looks. I'm pretty sure I'll be doing the Batwoman review format for Ms. Marvel. Yeah, because I think there's going to be a lot to unpack with that show. When I get a little more to go on with She-Hulk, then I'll make a determination on that. You can do Batwoman for both She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel. Hoi. They're already counting on Michael Keaton to fill the seats anyway. Well, for my money, I mean, Michael Keaton playing Batman again is pretty much the only reason to see that movie. The Flash movie. But I don't trust him to do anything good with it. For one thing, he's not going to be the same Batman from the Tim Burton movies. It's just going to be a new Batman played by Michael Keaton. And I don't trust them at all to do anything good with him. Because, I mean, the people behind the DCEU have just screwed up and screwed up and screwed up and screwed up. And they've had a couple successes along the way. Shazam was good. Aquaman was good. The first Wonder Woman was good. Not the sequel. But they have no idea what they're doing creatively. They can't make up their damn minds. It's just new direction after new direction after new direction. Now they're bringing in an older Batman. And he's going to be training Batgirl because they want to do like the She-EU now. And, they're going to be taking away Henry Cavill's Superman and doing Supergirl. And then what are they going to do? What they're going to do? Look, World's Finest with Supergirl and Batgirl now? It's just... But hey, look, Michael Keaton's playing Batman again. It's like they're dangling their keys in front of people and hoping the fans will be distracted by something shiny long enough to disregard the fact that what they're doing is just creatively fucked up. They could CG the Flash's face onto someone else's face. Oh yeah, just CG a new actor's face onto Ezra Miller's body. Yeah, because CGing out Henry Cavill's mustache worked out so well in Justice League, didn't it? Ugh. The only problem with the legal route is that She-Hulk is the fact that they could turn it into a modern day Law and Order, which is cringe AF. That's true. Like, I don't know how that show is going to work. Like, is it just going to be another legal show? Because there's a million of those. Is she just going to be trying cases in every episode? And the kicker is that she's doing it as the She-Hulk? Or is she going to be fighting bad guys too? Like, I'm really curious about this. I have no idea how that show is going to work. Have you seen Bumblebee? I have not seen Bumblebee. I watched like the opening scene on Cybertron on YouTube. Didn't see the rest of it. I watched the first 3 Michael Bay Transformers movies. After that, I was done. I had no interest in seeing any more. I've heard various things about Bumblebee. Some people seem to like it. Other people say it's crap. Man, I just didn't want to spend the money on it. I've always been very fond of Spider-Man, but never got around to getting into the comics. Anyone have any advice on where to start? Comics are kind of nerve-wracking because of all the universes. Well, Marvel are... not saying they've never done it, but Marvel tend to kind of stick with their own universe. They don't really like rebooting it. DC is the one that reboots their universe like every couple years. That's one of the reasons I can't get into DC Comics, because I have no idea what's in continuity and what isn't anymore. No, Marvel pretty much like to maintain the same continuity. There are... one second. Come on. Essential, that's what it's called. I don't know if these are still being published, but they have these the Essential volumes, I believe they're called, where they just collect like the first 25 issues or 50 issues or whatever it was in this big trade paperback. It's all in black and white, but and you could probably find them on Amazon or something. I have a bunch of them. It's like the first 50 issues or something, or the first 50 or the second 50 or the third, and it just goes on and on like that. I got like the first 100 issues all in this big trade paperback. You could probably find them. You could go back to Amazing Fantasy 15, you just find all the issues of Spider-Man. You could read it like that, like I did. Like the Essential Spider-Man Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. It's an easy way to get through it. Can't wait for me to roast Ms. Marvel. Yeah. What's your expectations on Thor, on Gore for Thor? Well, Christian Bale is playing Gore, so that could be Be a pretty intense bad guy. I don't think he even showed up in the teaser trailer that came out yesterday, though. I don't remember seeing him. I'd have to look for it again. Of course, I don't really know Gore the God Butcher from the comics. I've never really read the Thor comics, so not really sure what to expect. I do like Christian Bale, though. I wanted to watch Sonic 2 with my family, but because it was full, so we watched Secrets of Dumbledore instead. Only 25 people were in that theater. It wasn't worth it, and it was a mistake. Well, in my theater, there were like 4 people, including me. And I saw it opening day. And as if they needed more stuff working against that movie, Ezra Miller gets himself arrested again. Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk are my least anticipated Marvel projects by a mile. Hopefully I end up liking them. I'm actually highly anticipating both because I can't wait to review them. Still makes me laugh. Like, Ms. Marvel was so unpopular, her sequel solo movie became a team-up movie. We had to surround her with characters that people hopefully will like better. Did you see the Panther God statue from Black Panther in the Pyramid? No, I didn't. I'd have to go back and check that. Huh. But that wouldn't be an Egyptian god, would it? I don't think so. Huh. I'm gonna go look for that when I'm done with this. Really hope Discovery puts a stop to the D-She-You nonsense. An article I read said the head honcho wants to revitalize Superman and the other characters, not replace them with inferior versions. Yeah, I heard that too, but it's going to be difficult when the Flash movie has already been filmed. And supposedly that movie is, wiping Superman out of existence and replacing him with Supergirl and, doing the same thing with Batman, basically. And, I guess the Supergirl... The Supergirl movie, or was it the Batgirl movie? Yeah, Well, Batgirl and Supergirl projects are already either... They've already been filmed or they're in the process of filming, so, I mean, they're going ahead with those characters. So, short of just a complete, top-to-bottom reboot, I'm not sure what their options are here. I guess they could reshoot parts of the Flash movie where Superman survives, and then say that the new Supergirl, that's happening in the multiverse or something, but you can't just play that card every time. They've really screwed themselves over here. Because they never had one coherent vision, and now the cracks were forming from very early on, and now all those cracks have kind of caught up with them, and then now they don't know what the hell to do. And we got another super chat. Oh my god. Josem Tapia 711. I butchered that so badly, I'm so sorry. In Civil War, Black Panther mentions that Semtech was talking to BW, which was mentioned in this episode of Moon Knight. That one talking to Black Widow. Oh. Black Panther mentions Semtech when talking to Black Widow, which was mentioned in this episode. Huh. Oh, maybe there is some crossover with the gods there. I'll be damned. But you guys have better memories than I do. Man, I haven't watched Civil War in a while. Chris, I was so busy during this episode taking notes, jotting down everything that happened. I guess I should have paid a little closer attention. Let's see, what else have we got here? Do you reckon Batwoman is quietly canceled since we have heard nothing? That would be my guess. It's also possible that nothing has been determined yet. I mean, I guess there's still time to renew it. I don't think there's ever going to be an official announcement about that. I made a post in the community tab about this a little while ago. But in the event that the show gets canceled, I don't think they're ever going to actually come out and say, yeah, we canceled it. I think they'll just quietly take it off the schedule and move on. Because they don't want to deal with the social media backlash. Can't imagine there'd be much of one at this point, but there would be one, and those people are fucking cowards. So, I think they'll just very quietly not produce any new episodes. Eventually people will cotton on. She-Hulk is only 6 episodes. I think so. They've got to do something to sell people on the character. I don't imagine it'll only be Law stuff, just like Daredevil wasn't just Law stuff. Yeah, well, Daredevil also had like a lot of stories and a history of not doing Law stuff. Like he's... like a lawyer is his day job. With She-Hulk, I mean, she has a history of kind of focusing on that stuff. Like I said, I'm not really a She-Hulk aficionado or anything, but doesn't she have, like, series that focused on her work as a lawyer and stuff? I mean, that stuff is canon. So, yeah, boy, we really need a She-Hulk trailer already. I want to see how they're going to do this show. Poor Young Justice. Oh my God, you're right. Man, that most recent episode, when do new episodes drop? Is it Thursday? I don't know. I just watched the latest one. I think it's the latest one, where they're starting Rocket's arc, and there's this whole extended sequence at the beginning where she's just dealing with her kid, and the kid is autistic, and he's just misbehaving all over the place. He's screaming. He's saying, "Oh, I can't go out without my wool cap. I need my wool cap. We can't leave without my wool cap." So she's just, no, it's just a cap. You don't need it. It's warm out. And the kid starts screaming and screaming. It's like, oh my God, get me out of here. And the kid's like mouthing off to people on the subway. And he's got to have his cars all upside down so he can roll the wheels. It's like, this used to be a superhero show. I see what they're doing with the story, but why is it happening on a freaking superhero show? It's like, what? It's like they don't even know what kind of show this is anymore. And then they go to, like, the new Genesis, and that stuff is more interesting, but good God. Man, I thought the Atlantis arc was just off-putting. Man, I don't know what is going on with Young Justice this season. Good Lord. New super chat. Road Breach, thank you very much. Travis Knight is a better director than Michael Bay. You might like Bumblebee. Well, it's not really the direction I'm concerned about. My concern was the script. I believe that was written by the same woman who wrote the script for Birds of Prey. So that's what was really off-putting to me about that. It could be better. I don't see how it could possibly be worse than Birds of Prey. Better direction would help. And I might check it out at some point. I do really like Haley Steinfeld. But, I mean, we're getting into spin-off movies now. I'm getting like a Sony Spider-Verse type of vibe from this, where they're just trying to exploit the IP for money, not because they have any good stories they want to tell. You know? I mean, a Bumblebee spin-off? Like, why did we need this? Why do a Bumblebee spin-off when you could just have all the other Transformers in there too, you know? It just doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like Young Justice was only really good in Season 1. Season 2 felt like there was so much that happened between Season 1 and 2 that it took away from the enjoyment for me. Oh, that's weird for me, too. Like, there's always a time jump between seasons, but, like, so much stuff happens in between the seasons. It's like, where is all this information? I think, like, the story of this, what happened between 1 and 2 was, like, in a video game somewhere. But I never knew that. I never played the game. So, I mean, I was kind of lost. Like Kid Flash was the character that was really gung-ho about being a superhero, and then in Season 2, suddenly, oh, he's retired. He stopped being a superhero. Why? What happened? I mean, it's like that every season. And I just wish there was a little more. I wish the information about what happens in between seasons was more readily available. That would, fill in a few blanks there. I actually liked Young Justice Season 2, though. For me, like, the big differences in the show weren't becoming obvious until Season 3. I still liked Season 3 a lot. But looking back on it now, like, they were planting seeds at the time that once they took root would eventually turn the show into what it's been turned into now. And, the more I see of Phantoms, the less I'm liking it. Isn't She-Hulk supposed to be a comedy, too? I don't know. I think I heard something about that. The Young Justice video game only really dealt with the death of Aquagirl and what's-his-name leaving the team and learning about his father. I mean, Calder? So, did it explain why Kid Flash retired? And Artemis, too. She retired for a while. On Young Justice, do you think Wally will ever come back? Dude, I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't come back already. I don't know what they're waiting for. I mean, I imagine he's not going to stay dead. I mean, that would be stupid. I mean, there's so many ways they could bring him back. Let's say he's been in the Speed Force this whole time. I mean, I don't know. I mean, why would you not want to bring him back? I mean, it's comic books. People come back from the dead all the time. They're doing it with Superboy. He's not dead. He's in the Phantom Zone. All right. Cool. Whatever. But why would they not want to bring Wally back? I mean, they talk about him all the time. I mean, Artemis brings him up a lot. I mean, clearly there's a storyline of her not being, not gotten over his death. I mean, she's always mentioning it. So it seems obvious that they're planning to bring him back at some point. I don't know why they're waiting so long, though. I think it was Aqua Girl's death that caused Kid Flash and Artemis to reconsider being superheroes. You think? Is there anything that is there anything that like definitively explains that, or is it all just implied? Superboy and Wally are going to come back, in my opinion. Well, hopefully. It just they're really dragging their feet with Wally. I mean, they might want to get around to that. I mean, they're starting to wrap up some of these things. Like, they finally got around to, saving Zatanna's dad. So that was a thing since Season 1. So he's free of the Dr. Fate helmet, at least for a few weeks at a time. So that's good. So they're starting to wrap up some of these long-running plot threads, but Wally is still gone? Like, what are they waiting for? I don't know. I mean, it kind of seems like the narrative is just getting more and more convoluted, and they don't really know how to end it. I mean, I guess Darkseid has something to do with the light, but I mean, that gets teased at the end of Season 2, I think, and then it's never mentioned again for like the entirety of Season 3, unless I'm remembering wrong, and then it's just teased a little bit again in the recent episode. It's like, well, God, what the hell are you guys waiting for with this? Warner Brothers needs to get Ezra Miller to clean up his act before the Flash movie comes out. Flashpoint is a very good story. Hope it doesn't flop. No, Warner Brothers needs to get the hell away from Ezra Miller. They need to cut ties with him and just recast and move on. The problem is they can't do that yet because the movie's already been filmed. So, like it or not, they're stuck with Ezra Miller until that movie is in their rear view. But the association with Ezra Miller is very likely to tank that movie, so they have no good options at all. I don't know what they can do with Ezra Miller. They're going to have to do something. They got to get him into some kind of treatment program or therapy, or just so he doesn't end up killing himself between now and when the movie comes out. Beyond that, just film another ending, get a new actor in there, and just pray Ezra Miller doesn't screw up again. But they can't continue on with Ezra Miller. They can't be. I mean, they'd never be able to insure him at this point. So the guy's just too much of a flight risk. Ezra Miller's been arrested more times than the Flash TV series can say "Run, Barry, run." Oh, Christ. Are they still doing that? Oh, man. I saw a video once, I forget how long ago, where they had like a montage of all the times characters have said "Run, Barry, run." It actually went on for a while. Jesus Christ. In the game, after Aquagirl died, Kid Flash and Artemis had a brief discussion about how they would react if one of them died and hinted at them considering leaving the team. Oh, okay. What game was this? God, I mean, I feel like they should have made more noise about that if that was how they were continuing the story in between the seasons, because I never knew about this. I didn't find out until years later. Are you aware of Ezra Miller being an Invincible? They're probably going to keep the character silent. Well, no, a lot of actors are in Invincible. I did a video about Invincible. I talked about this. Like, the voice cast is incredible, because they're always going after these name actors to fill even really small parts. So, that is not uncommon. So, Invincible... So, yeah, he had a part in Invincible. He had a character that appeared in, like, one episode, maybe two. He played a villain. But, you know, there's... They could very easily just not bring him back. Because that's just the way Invincible rolls. Like, they'll cast, like, name actors in every role. Like, in every part. Like, a new character shows up, it'll be... like a notable actor or a notable voice actor or something. Voice cast in that show is incredible. But that's just what they like to do. So, yeah, Ezra Miller is in... he's in Invincible, but a lot of people are in Invincible, so it's not something that's going to kill them at all. Young Justice Legacy is the name of the game. Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Damn. Damn it, my voice. Fuck. Why is it that WB has all this dysfunction when it comes to their movies and shows, etc.? Well, the problem is they've never had a Kevin Feige-like figure at the top who's coordinating everything and setting the creative direction. The problem is they've had a bunch of different people in charge who don't really understand the world and the universe and the characters. That they had certain people in charge and they were letting Zack Snyder kind of set the pace and dictate how everything would be done, and they did that for a while until they realized that, oh, this isn't really working out, and fans have a lot of criticisms, and they're not really into the creative direction, so let's go a different way. But Zack Snyder kind of hung around and still dictated how things would be done, and they were trying to minimize it and change things, and then he stepped away from Justice League, and they took that opportunity to bring in someone else and change Justice League around. But then people didn't like that, so eventually they're like, all right, we'll let Snyder finish off Justice League and do the Snyder Cut. Then people really like the Snyder Cut, so they're backtracking and saying, oh wait, we wanted to go in a new direction, but people like the old direction all of a sudden for some reason, so maybe we should go back to that. But now there's new people in charge who wanted to move away from that direction and do more things like, Birds of Prey and Batgirl, and all this DCU type stuff, and Wonder Woman 84. And so there's all these different opinions, and there's no one person in charge. And if there is one person in charge at the top controlling everything, they're never in charge long enough to set any long-term plans in motion. Now, because of this Discovery thing, they've got a new person in charge, and, he'll be there for a minute, I guess. And, I mean, God only knows what he's going to do, but it's just a complete shit show over there. There's no one person in charge for any length of time that understands how, like, the universe and the characters, or even, like, basic storytelling fundamentals. They're just constantly switching people around, and none of them seem to have any vision. Like, no one has a vision. And that's why they don't know the rest from their elbows over there. Really liked Man of Steel and Justice League, but BVS was tough to watch. I I like Man of Steel too. I know it's not for everybody, but I know it's not a perfect movie, but for what it was, I actually liked that. I thought that was one of Zack Snyder's better movies. I actually thought BVS was tough to watch. Yeah. Of course, I was actually really sick when I saw it in theaters. Like the sickest I'd ever been. I was like bedridden for like 6 weeks. That was one of the first things I did when I was feeling well enough to actually go out and do stuff. But I still felt pretty crappy. Went out and saw Batman v Superman. Justice League is what it is. Is it just me wondering why there are movies for characters no one asked for, i.e. Morbius and Black Adam, etc.? No, it's not just you. The reason they're happening is because the people in charge of these things think they can exploit the IP and make money off them. You know, they don't care that there's no reason to make a movie about a character like fucking Morbius. Because Morbius is not a big character. It's not a character that anybody wants to see a movie about. He's a supporting character, a supporting player who'd pop up a little bit here, a little bit there, but he's not someone you'd ever want to focus on, really. Doesn't care that there's probably no great stories you could adapt about it, so we'll just make up something else. Amy Pascal doesn't care. Because she doesn't care about what's best for the characters and the IP, she just sees dollar signs that she can exploit. It's kind of the same thing with Black Adam. Like, did we need a Black Adam movie? Isn't he just some Shazam villain? Why is he doing his own movie? Well, he's doing his own movie because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson wanted to do it. I don't know what Dwayne Johnson's fascination is with Black Adam of all characters, but I think it's more about him than the character. I mean, you saw that teaser trailer that they came out with. I don't know how long ago that was, but it's really just, look, it's just this big introduction to the unveiling of a B-grade Shazam villain. But hey, look, it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing him. Oh my god. It just felt like one gigantic ego stroke. Hey, let's do this big, grand introduction for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Oh, and he's also playing Black Adam, so get hyped for Black Adam, everybody. Ugh. I just don't get it. Man of Steel is my only favorite Zack Snyder movie that I watched 3 times in the theaters. I actually think his Watchmen was really damn good. I liked Watchmen a lot. Problem is with supporting characters and villains being watered down with these solo movies that make me die inside. I know, right? Like, was anyone, literally anyone, asking for a Madam Web movie? I mean, at least Craven has some famous stories written about him. I mean, we're well past his heyday now, but I mean, but there's like Craven's Last Hunt. Remember, that was a big one in the comics. But, I mean, it's a Craven movie. I mean, he's interesting in relation to Spider-Man, but I mean, Spider-Man's not going to appear in that movie as far as I know. So you're just telling the story of how he became a hunter? I mean, what's interesting about that? And then Madam Web, what the... It's like, who cares? Who could possibly care about this? Ugh. Iron Man was never a really popular character before the MCU. Well, at least Iron Man had a long history in the comics and had plenty of great stories written about him. Maybe he wasn't like a top-tier character, but he was... You could very easily make a cool movie about him. And turned out they had like all the right people in place, and they had the right person to play him, and it turned out to be a great movie. But, Iron Man had a lot of stuff that Morbius does not have. Kevin Feige was smart enough to know that. Amy Pascal just doesn't give a shit. Watchmen was great. Its comic is a masterpiece. Agreed? I think Zack Snyder sometimes goes a little overboard with the music and the montages and stuff, but I like his Watchmen film a lot. I think that movie doesn't get enough credit. I've never even heard of Madam Web until the movie announcement, but I'm no expert either. I mean, I barely know about the character, and I've read comics all my life. I mostly know Madam Web from her appearances in the Spider-Man the Animated Series back in the 90s. I mean, I've seen like 1 or 2 comics with her in there. I know, I think Julia Carpenter is the current Madam Web, because, I mean, the original one died and passed her powers on to Julia Carpenter or something. But yeah, I mean, outside of the Spider-Man the Animated Series, I don't give a shit about that character. I have no idea what Amy Pascal thinks this movie is going to accomplish. And the character is just so obscure. It's like, why do you think this would even make money? If I ever see a Silk or Moreland movie, I'm going to flip. Dude, I guarantee you they want to make a Silk movie. I guarantee it. I don't know if we'll ever see it, but I guarantee you they want to make one. That is absolutely something Amy Pascal would do. Alright, that's the bottom of the chat room. If you guys don't have anything else you want to talk about, we could probably think about wrapping this up. Who is Silk? Never heard of that one. Oh, that's a fun one. Silk is a new character that they retconned into Spider-Man's backstory. Apparently, when Peter was bitten by the radioactive spider, Silk was also in that same room, on that same field trip, and was bitten by that same spider before it died, and gained spider powers very similar to Spider-Man's, and spent the next 10, 15 years like quarantining herself in some bunker somewhere, and that's why we never heard of her until now. Yeah, so she's another Spider-Woman type character. Just I think her webbing is organic, and yeah, because that's all Marvel seems to be able to do now, is just create derivative knockoff versions of their popular characters. So it's one more Spider-Man type character to throw on the pile. I wish some other company would buy Sony's movie division already and make the Spider-Man rights revert to Marvel. I don't want Kraven's solo movie. I want him as Spider-Man's next big bad. Well, at this rate, the only chance we've got is if Disney buys Sony, which could very well happen at some point. I mean, they bought Marvel, they bought Pixar, I believe. I mean, they could very well buy Sony. That's what I'm crossing my fingers for. Thought it was weird that of all the avatars in the pyramid were different races. They all should have been Egyptian people because they represent Egyptian gods. Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? I think one dude was Irish. It's like there's a girl who's Indian or something. I mean, they were all there. That was very strange. You'd think the Egyptian gods would have chosen Egyptian avatars. I can't talk today. Yeah, that was kind of strange, wasn't it? I mean, with Mark, it kind of makes sense because I guess he dies right before the idol of Khonshu, and maybe that's why Khonshu chose him, because he was right there. With everyone else, it's like, where'd all these people come from? Wouldn't you just choose Egyptians? I hope they explain that. Do you wish Disney to buy DC as well? No. Because if Disney had the rights to DC as well, then Marvel would probably do some kind of huge crossover event where the two universes merge and then all the characters are in the same universe. I don't want that. No, I want to keep Marvel and DC separate. The races were all different. The avatars were all different races for diversity and no other reason. Yeah, you're probably right. I think it would be interesting if there was an in-universe reason for that, though. That's probably a good place to end it, guys. Seems like things have kind of dried up here. And I don't know how much longer my voice is going to last. It kind of sucks. My voice felt good the other day. And I got through, not the last video I did. What was it? Yoink. Yeah, the Secrets of Dumbledore video. I got through that one pretty easily. Up until the last half hour that I was recording. But, yeah, the Thor teaser trailer reaction, my voice was all kinds of messed up in that when I was filming that one. That one actually took longer. That one took longer than it should. So, I don't know. Maybe it's because of the weather or allergens in the air. I don't know. Yeah, my voice just sucks in general. But we do what we can. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks to our super chats. Emmanuel Reed, thank you. JOSEMTAPIA 711. I'm sorry, I have no idea how your name is pronounced. But thank you. And Road Breach, thank you. Thank you to everybody who tuned in the comments. Thanks for talking about Moon Knight with me. I guess Tuesdays at 9 is when we're doing these things. because that's just when it works for my schedule. So I guess episode 4 is tonight. I might not be able to watch that immediately. But I guess the next video will be a review of The Northman. I believe that comes out this weekend, so I'll be doing that. As long as I get the green screen up, I can make the thumbnail for it. Damn, maybe I'll do that tonight. I don't know. But yeah, so look for a review of The Northman this weekend. Fingers crossed everything works out. And I don't know, maybe we'll have another trailer reaction in there or something. And then we got Moon Knight Episode 4, which I guess we'll continue doing these Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. So tune in next time when we talk about Moon Knight Episode 4. And stay tuned this weekend for the Northman review. Hopefully I can get that up on time for once. I'm sorry, the last Fantastic Beasts review, The Secrets of Dumbledore. I'm sorry that one was delayed until Monday. I had hopes of getting that up on Saturday at one point, but then one thing after another happened, and I had to go meet some people. I had to go. My schedule is so weird, because if one thing happens, it kind of throws everything off, because my brother and my sister-in-law were in town. They wanted to meet and have breakfast, and I had to get up earlier than usual for that, so I had intended to work on the video all night, but if I did that, I wouldn't be able to get up in time, so I had to kind of scrap those plans, meet them for breakfast, which means I couldn't spend all night editing it, so that put me a day behind, and blah, blah, blah. I'm rambling now, I'm sorry. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I will try to work on the Northman review, try to have that up by Sunday at the latest, and then I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you very much. As usual, this video will be set to private after we finish up, and if you wanted to listen to it again, check out the live streaming channel. Link is in the description. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot.